Fortunate is the young man who has received the right type of training for business. Such training will make him a more efficient worker, no matter what his job or profession. Many young people had elders who shared valuable experience and advice with them. Others were favored by entering high-caliber firms. While there is increasing interest in sustainable financing, the transition to a sustainable economy is not happening at the required scale. At the same time, systemic risks are increasing, and there is a strain on the multilateral system. Experts argue that this challenge provides an opportunity to re-examine the global institutional architecture for sustainable development. Energy Transition Index benchmarks 115 countries on the current level of their energy system performance, and the readiness of their macro environment for transition to a secure, sustainable, affordable, and inclusive future energy system. It enables policymakers and businesses to identify the destination for energy transition, identify imperatives, and align policy and market enablers accordingly. Working from home tends to be a relatively easy experience for the office professional. If your work involves using computers, it's quite easy to do the same at home. It can save you a lot of money in fuel costs alone per year. It also helps you to strike a better balance between career goals and family life. We are living through an extraordinary time with the rapid spread of the coronavirus, designated as COVID-19. A lockdown that restricts the movement of people and goods, to prevent the spread of the deadly virus is in place. Citizens will only be allowed to leave their homes for essential work and purchasing food or medicine. Boys and girls need to be well nourished and educated, women need to be truly empowered, rural infrastructure must be strengthened in order to meet the zero hunger goal. Programs that make community resilient and more stable will also reduce the number of hungry people. World leaders need to help resolve these conflicts right now. A child under the age of 18 dies from violence every day in Honduras. For a country not engaged in active warfare, this figure is staggering. The combination of violence, poverty, and lack of education opportunities is causing thousands of children and families to flee their homes, and are at risk from violence, exploitation, and abuse. The Global Migration Compact is the first global framework to be negotiated in all its dimensions on a common approach to international migration. It is the product of an intensive process of negotiations providing a strong platform for cooperation on migration now and into the future. It draws on best practices and international law, to make migration safe and positive for all. E-waste is now the world's fastest growing waste stream. It is estimated to have reached 50 million tons in 2018. Globally, society only deals appropriately with 25% of e-waste. There is little data on what happens to the rest, which for the most part ends up in a landfill or is disposed of under poor conditions by informal workers. Water covers over 2/3 of the Earth's surface and constitutes almost 70% of our bodies. This profound organic association appears to trigger a quick reaction in our brains when we're close to water. Indeed, the mere sight and sound of water can incite a surge of neurochemicals that promote well-being and induce relaxation. In Brazil, it is unlawful to chop down a Brazil nut tree. Thus, they can be found outside manufacturing plants, homes, and on the sidewalks. The fruits are very heavy and rigid. When the fruits fall, they pose a serious threat to vehicles and people passing under the tree. Brazil nut fruits sink in fresh water, which can cause clogging of waterways. Permafrost is ground that is frozen year-round. In the Arctic, ice-rich permafrost soils can be up to 260 feet thick. Due to human-caused warming of the atmosphere from greenhouse gas emissions, a steady thawing of the permafrost is currently taking place where the upper layer of seasonally thawed soil is gradually getting thicker and reaching deeper into the ground. WHO has issued a public statement calling for the disclosure of results from clinical trials for medical products, whatever the result. Buying directly from farmers at markets allows you to understand the processes that make up food systems, gives you insight into the seasons and the land, and creates a connection between you and the people who grow your food. Small-scale farms conserve soil and important fields, meadows, and surrounding open spaces that are crucial to maintaining a healthy environment. Nearly anyone living in eastern North America, who has ventured beyond their porch, has had at least one unpleasant encounter with poison ivy. While best known for the irritating skin rash produced by contact with an oil in its leaves, poison ivy is also an important source of food and cover for wildlife. In this course, we will explore how such things as department stores, nationally advertised brand name goods, mass-produced cars and suburbs transformed the American economy, society, and politics. The course is organized both thematically and chronologically. Each period deals with a new development in the history of consumer culture. Experts discuss the significance of attending the theatre as a civic occasion, associated with the political and cultural achievements of Athens. Though archaeology and analyses of contemporary art forms such as decoration on pottery, a picture is built up of ancient Greek theatre. Members of a culture must conform to its norms for the culture to exist and function. Hence, members must want to conform and obey rules. They first must internalize the social norms and values that dictate what is normal for the culture. Then they must socialize or teach norms and values to their children. The natural environment can be hazardous, and, with increased travel and leisure, people today are more likely than ever to be exposed to potentially life-threatening conditions. Although the human body can adjust to some extent, it cannot cope with poisons or prolonged exposure to extremes of environment. The whole purpose of making notes is to aid your learning. It is important to go back over them within a day of making them to make sure they make sense and make them legible for future revisions. Also, going back over them should highlight the key questions of areas in which you want to do further reading.